Namaste. I welcome you all to this second episode of the Understanding Sanatana Dharma podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Aham Brahmasmi, a unit of the Dakshinamnaya Sri Sharada Peetham, by the blessings of the Ubhaya Jagadguru. Today we have with us Mahodaya Sri Mysore Vishwanath, and I will be asking him about my doubts and the doubts of my friends and my contemporaries. In general, the doubts of the modern youth regarding Sanatana Dharma. Mahodaya, firstly, what is this Sanatana Dharma? What does this Sanatana mean? What is its history? Is there a particular definition for the Sanatana Dharma?
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for having me here, and secondly, the way you introduced, saying that this is more about you asking doubts about the youth, and it's first and foremost, it is heartening to know that the current youth of this country do have questions on Sanatana Dharma. Whether they are constructive or destructive, we shall explore it later on. However, it is to still possess a kind of inquisitive nature on Sanatana Dharma itself is a merit, if you ask me. Uh, Throughout the history, when we observe Sanatana Dharma or just the name of India, and we will not even use the original name, the aboriginal name of this country, which our Rishis called it as Bharata. We are not even going to use that word. Even if we just take the word India, and you go to any corner of the world and you mention the fact that you are from India, they do look up to you. They do think that there is something unique about the country India. And that has enabled not just the people of the world, but also the young minds and almost every single mind of this country as well as the whole world to be always intrigued about Sanatana Dharma. What has kept our culture intact for so many years? It's not like we have never been under attack. We know, if we take a look at our history, we don't even have to read the history books. We just have to visit few places to know the barbaric invasions that have happened. And despite of all these facts, Sanatana Dharma has survived. Whether it has survived in bits and parts, whether it has survived in its flourishment or not, it has survived. Survival is the key. There were so many cultures in the world. They existed. We use the past tense. They all existed and now they are gone. They are only in history books. But our Sanatana Dharma has survived. So the very nature of Sanatana Dharma is intriguing, is what I'm trying to say here. The nature of Sanatana Dharma makes it more explorable for the young minds. Now, the questions that you asked, we will take up one by one. The first one was, what is Sanatana Dharma? Basically, for anything, if we are going to pursue anything, this is how it happens. If I want to pursue physics, I should know what physics is. The first meaning that I want to ask is, what is physics? If I don't know what is physics, then there is no point of studying physics. Likewise, there are two words involved in Sanatana Dharma. We just need to understand what does the word Sanatana mean, and then what does the word Dharma mean. Now, the word Sanatana appears in the lexicography, that is Amarakosha. And Amarasimha, the author of Amarakoshakara, it is a work of synonyms. Namalinganusasanam, he called it as. So, in that work, he mentions Sanatana along with another synonym called as Sadatana. Sanatana, Sadatana. So, what does the word Sanatana and Sadatana mean? Sanatana means evergreen.
Okay.
That which is intact, or that which was intact, that which is intact, that which shall remain intact is called as Sanatana. Now, the simplest ways to understand Sanatana is that which undergoes no modification, no alteration in at any given point of time. That is called as Sanatana. The next question that we must ask ourselves is, are there many things that can fall under the category of Sanatana? Or is there any one thing that falls under the category of Sanatana? Because when we understand the term Sanatana, obviously we get this question, how many things can qualify as Sanatana, or how many things can we put under the category of Sanatana? Are there many things that come under Sanatana, or is there only one thing that deserves to be called as Sanatana? So when it comes to this debate, our Rishis have settled it. And our ancestors said that if there is one thing that deserves to be called as Sanatana, if there is one thing that deserves to be called by its name associated with Sanatana, then it is Dharma. Only Dharma deserves to be called as Sanatana Dharma. See, the word Dharma itself is sufficient enough. And yet, somehow, the word Sanatana associated with it has only increased its value 1,000 times, an infinite times. It just puts everything beyond any doubt when we say Sanatana Dharma. The word Dharma itself is sufficient to put everything to rest, because Dharmo Dharayate Prajaha is what the Shastras say. Dharma is something that upholds, withholds, or basically holds everything. So, in terms of understanding Dharma, Dharma is such a stock which you never buy, which you never sell, you just hold, because Dharma always pays dividends. You see, that is such a stock which should be there. It's a mandatory in every portfolio. It is much more than Nifty 50. I hope you are getting the point. You see, so that is Dharma. Yeah, that is what Dharma means. So when we understand Dharma along with Sanatana, it means that it was like this before, it is like this now, it shall remain like this forever. That's why Sanatana is associated with forever, and Dharma is the condition that holds everything together.
Unfortunately, these days, what has happened is dharma is usually attributed to religion, and religion is interchangeably used with faith. So, but when you related it with this example of a stock, which the experts of the Shastrakara says which you must hold,
Yes.
and obviously our portfolio is always in the bullish pattern.
Yeah.
So also, I especially me, I never knew that Sanatana means evergreen. All what we think is Sanatana, we usually relate it with Prachina or something old. So coming to my next question, we have heard of the Vedas.
Yes.
We unfortunately it is only hearing of the Vedas.
Yeah.
And also when it comes to our generation, most of us who are in this into this dharma, we are not exposed to the meaning of the Vedas or something going deeper into it. But we definitely know that Vedas is such an integral and a quintessential part of Sanatana Dharma. How? Why is Vedas called so? And what is the relation between the Sanatana Dharma and the Vedas?
That's a wonderful question. It's like after we understood what Sanatana Dharma is, now the next segment is, how do we realize it's Sanatana? How do we ensure that it's Sanatana? The quality of Sanatana cannot be attributed to Dharma based on the anthropological evidences. Uh, it's not like Dharma is something that is readily available somewhere. It's a product or it's an item, and we have taken it to the labs and we have put it under the test, and we have identified that this belongs to this bygone era, and from there onwards it has always remained with us. Dharma is not determined by like that. Then how is Dharma determined? Dharma's determination comes from the Vedas. That's why we need the Vedas. Because basically, you see what happens in determination as well. Determination in the sense, we want to determine, if we go and ask any archaeologists or historians, for that matter of fact, they find an artifact. They find something when they are digging up the land, and they take it back to their labs and they test. Maybe they test the soil, maybe they test the carbon content of it, and then they come up with this conclusion that this belongs to this particular era. So that is basically something that is relying upon the outer thing. Now, how do we know that Dharma is Sanatana, has been there forever. So it is not like it is newly minted. It is not something that has been subjected to demonetization and then a fresh uh, way of notes was introduced. It's not like that. It has always been there. That has always been the currency. Then, but how do we understand that this is Dharma? Or how do we understand the Sanatanatvam, or the essence of Sanatana, of Dharma? And for that purpose, Vedas are required. That answers the question, why do we need Vedas? We need Vedas to understand that the Dharma is Sanatana. And the Dharma, however it has been misinterpreted, misrepresented, it will all fade away. It will all be defeated when we truly understand the potential of Vedas, or when we truly get to the essence of Vedas, we get to know what exactly Dharma is and how exactly Sanatana, Dharma becomes Sanatana. So you see, it's Vedas are the thing that actually explain us what is Dharma and how Dharma is Sanatana, and ergo what is Sanatana Dharma. The explanation of Sanatana Dharma is Veda. There is this famous line called as Vedo Khilo Dharma Moolam. They said, what is the cause? What is the root? What is the seed of Dharma? They said, Moolam means the seed, the root. So Dharma Moolam means the root of Dharma. What is the root of Dharma? Veda. They said, Veda is the root of Dharma. So what does a root do when we take a look at the world? Even if we are not well versed in botany, it's okay. We still can understand what a root does. A root hides itself from the natural view, from the materialistic view. It is not visible to the naked eye, but we know that it exists. And without its existence, a tree cannot survive. So if Dharma is the tree, if our Sanatana Dharma is this big banyan tree under which all of us have been surviving, what is the root of that tree? Vedas are the roots of that tree. And stronger the roots, stronger the tree. So as long as we remain rooted, as long as we remain confined or subscribed to the idea of the Vedas, the ideology of Vedas, the lifestyle mentioned in the Vedas, then the Dharma will remain. The Sanatana Dharma, the natural Dharma basically means the natural condition of everything. That shall never fade away. It will always remain. And that's how we achieve the Sanatanatvam of Dharma, through Vedas. That's why Vedas are essential.
Very, very beautifully explained, Mahodaya. So, this, whatever you said now, reminds me of a Kagga of Dr. DVG, which says, Haleberu Hosachiguru, Pudidare Marasobagu, which means old roots and new shoots makes the tree beautiful. So, you told, or it is written, that Vedas, as the roots of the huge Vatavriksha of Sanatana Dharma, is constantly strengthening the tree. We also have lots of books here which are really a feast to the avid reader. What is Vaidika Dharma then? And why are there Sanatana Dharma and Vaidika Dharma? I mean, we have Dharma in common, but what are the differences, or how are they related?
Yeah. See, the word Dharma, as I mentioned, it is true that it is the thing that holds everything together. It has the property to hold everything together. Now, it holds the entire creation together, that is Dharma. So, what holds anything together? Only that is natural to it. Now, we live in the age of artificial intelligence. So, if we ask this question to ourselves, can AI replace human intelligence? It can work it can work besides human intelligence. It can complement, it can complete human intelligence, but it may never be able to compete with human intelligence. So likewise, Dharma is something that is innate, that is sahaja. Sahaja means it has always been there since the beginning. It's not been like it has been brought, or some movement happened, as the history books suggest. Some movement happened, and Sanatana Dharma movement came into force from so and so era. And it did not happen. It has been natural. So that which has always been there can be called as nature, because nature has always been there. It has never undergone any major modifications. It has not changed itself. So basically, when we say Vaidika Dharma and Sanatana Dharma, they are not actually different. They are actually one and the same. They are called as Vaidika Dharma because when we take a look at the concept of Dharma, and we understand that Dharma has been there forever, then we call it as Sanatana Dharma. And when we call the word Vaidika Dharma, we are taking a look at the Dharma from its roots perspective. My guru used to give us this example that you take three people to an agricultural land. There are plenty of coconut trees. Okay. Now you take amongst those three, the first one is a farmer, second one is a botanist, third one is a common man, a modern day common man maybe. The kind of common man who thinks that coconuts are available only in the grated form through big basket. Okay. And that kind of a common man who has no idea how coconut looks like, especially in the field. Now, what is their perspective? Observe their perspective when they take a look at the tree. So this person is in awe that, oh, here is where from I get my coconuts. Okay. That's his limited version. That's all his vision is. For him, that is also a dharma, because he just realized the condition of the coconut tree for the first time. That is also a kind of condition that his mind has processed. So that is also called as dharma. That also qualifies as dharma. Then a botanist looks at it. You see, a botanist perspective about a tree is completely different. He sees it in a completely unique way. He takes a look at the coconut tree and he thinks that how old is this tree? He can identify just by looking. If he's a proper botanist, he can identify. And he will know whether this tree is undergoing any diseases or anything just by taking a look at it. And then, but even his vision is limited to the laukika part of the pancha bhautika part of the tree. Now we go to the farmer. You take any farmer, he doesn't have any formal education, by the way, but he is the one who has cultivated it. He has seen it from its root. So when he sees that coconut tree, he sees it from its root till the end. So that is Vaidika Dharma. And when a botanist sees it, he sees that it has always been like this because it belongs to so and so family of a particular tree. So his vision, his understanding, his withholding of the content of the tree qualifies as Sanatana Dharma. The common man's perspective remains as a dharma, a beginning condition. So the same thing, when observed in different views, gives us different names. Therefore, there is no major difference that exists between Sanatana Dharma and Vaidika Dharma. They are one and the same, because Veda is Sanatana as well. You cannot say that the roots have existed for 100 years, the tree has existed for only 50 years. Does it make any sense? So they cannot exist separately. They have to exist together. So if Sanatana means forever and Veda is the root of Dharma, as I said, Vedo Khilo Dharma Moolam. Now this is a simple mathematical formula. If A is equal to B is equal to C, then A must be equal to C. Therefore, Vaidika Dharma is equal to Sanatana Dharma. There is no difference between them.
I understood it very well, Mahodaya. So, in your answer to my first question, you told me about many of those civilizations which existed, which we spoke about in the past tense. Also, we, especially Gen Z, we have been, we have been going in the wrong way intellectually. I mean to say, we have been taught many false things, such as the Aryan invasion theory, etc., and a long list of such. What I want to ask now is how this dharma, Samskriti, that is the culture which is innate within
Yes.
people, parampara
Yes.
or the tradition which has come from one's lineage. And finally, Nagarikata.
Yes.
So, Dharma, Samskriti, Parampara, and Nagarikata. Are they all different? Or are they interconnected?
Yes.
And how do people like me, that is Gen Z, understand that Vaidika Dharma is the moolam of this huge Kalparuksha or Vataruksha?
Yes. Wonderful. You see, they are all interconnected. Whether we start from Samskriti. Samskriti is the culture, that is the seed. Culture is an idea. See, everything begins with an idea, and idea is the root cause of every civilization. What was the idea of our Samskriti? When we say that Bharatiya Samskriti, you see the word Bharatiya there. Why is it called as Bharatiya Samskriti or Sanatana Samskriti or Vaidika Samskriti? We are using these words, the adjectives that we are using with Samskriti, that itself reveals what is the uniqueness, what is the peculiarity of our Samskriti. That it has always been focused towards the ultimate light. Bha means the ultimate light. It has, that is Paranjyoti. So we have always been focused on that one. That's why our Samskriti is firmly fixated. It doesn't wander around. It doesn't have any loose ends. We do not belong to that Samskriti, or our Samskriti has never undergone such changes where there was one head for several years and then logically people revolted against it, they overthrew it, and then they established a logical order according to them. We are not that Samskriti. I mean, pun intended. Everybody knows about whom I am talking. We don't have to be ashamed or afraid of talking. But that has been their history, isn't it? But when it comes to Bharatiya Samskriti, there is a set order. When we say Vaidika Samskriti, there is a set order. And that set order translates itself, that set order transforms itself into Nagarikata, into civilization. So Samskriti's extension is called as Nagarikata. So civilization always comes from Samskriti, from culture. If there is no culture, there can never exist a civilization. Okay, let us take the example of a football team. I hope you follow football, so because I follow, so that's why I tend to give more examples from that. Let us take an example of a football club. That is a civilization. How do you think a football club's mentality is framed or formed or formulated? For example, Real Madrid. If we take Real Madrid, for example, for so many years, for all these years, they have been the most successful, arguably the most successful club across Europe. So that is the Nagarikata part of it. That is the civilization part of it. Every fan, every member, every player associated with that club feels like they are part of this great civilization, great unit. Right? You got the idea? Now, what makes them connect with the football club? There must be some idea present there, no? That idea is the culture of that club. What is the culture of Real Madrid, you ask? Any fan would say that winning is the culture of our club. Winning European clubs, dominating European competitions is the culture of our club. You see, idea translates itself, it transforms, it extends itself into civilization. So we got the two ends now. Now, what is the thread that connects or works as a pipeline that carries through the idea and makes it big? That is called as parampara. That is heritage, that is tradition. Why we should hold on to the tradition is very simple. Because if you destroy the pipeline, you will never get the flow. If you want the idea of your ancestors to flow through and establish itself and become bigger, then you need a tradition. Every family follows a tradition. Every group of friends have got their tradition. Every community has got a tradition. Every society has a tradition. Every city has a tradition. Every country has a tradition. And all of this tradition has got two ends. The first one is the culture part of it. The second one is the civilization part of it. Now, when we take a look at how deeply connected they are, We said Vedo Kilo Dharma Moolam. And what is holding them all together? The thing that holds Samskriti, Parampara, and Nagarikata, that is culture and civilization. In between culture and civilization, we have tradition. Culture, tradition, and civilization, all these three things are held together by Dharma. And if that Dharma is powered, like fueled by Veda, and it is Vaidika Dharma. Because the idea of Veda can be seen throughout. How the Veda was in its idea form, that is in the seed form, then how it grew into the tree, into the civilization. That is why all these three things are connected, and the connecting part is the Dharma. And what gets connected, the idea that gets translated, is the Veda. Therefore, Vaidika Dharma, Vaidika Samskriti, Vaidika Nagarikata, and Vaidika Parampara. It's not like we are obsessed with using the word Vaidika, because there is a particular idea behind it, and we are just reflecting upon that idea. And when we think when we think like this, it truly brings out how exactly we can connect with it. See, the problem that has happened with the modern youth is they have found themselves pretty much disconnected with these thoughts. They don't know if our culture is connected with our civilization, that there exists such a connection between culture and civilization, because culture is taught in a different way, civilization is taught in a different way, and parampara or heritage or tradition is taught in a different way. But when they find that there is a thread that is connecting, then it all starts to make sense. Every small thing that is done at home, it starts to make sense. Why do we light a lamp? Starts to make sense. Just hold on to this idea. Ask three questions. What is the culture of it? Is it a part of tradition? Is it making us into a civilized society? Any civilized society, all civilized societies have got a distinctive quality about them. That is, that they have been under the roof of one idea. And our idea has been the Veda, has been the Atma Gnana. And without Atma Gnana, our civilization is nil, zero. The reason why our civilization has survived, why our country has survived, is because of Atma Gnana. That is what Veda is. So these three are interconnected.
So what I grasp is that Dharma on the one hand and Veda on the other, they both act like the lifeblood of this body called Sanatana.
Yes, absolutely.
You also mentioned about various other civilizations. Other civilizations also, they also have their own history.
Mhm.
They also have their so-called holy books and a code of conduct by which they follow. And being a law student in the subject called Hindu law, apparently, we have learned this source called as Shruti.
Yes.
Shruti is basically the Vedas,
Correct.
and that which has been heard,
Yes.
Shruti. So, when there is a receiver,
Mhm.
who is the speaker? Why are Vedas called Apourusheya? And how do you make modern youth, that is Gen Z, understand that there is nobody saying it, or Apourusheya? Or how do you transfer to us the rationale of what
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Vedas is?
Yeah, I think that's a very lawyer-like question. The thing is, why is Vedas considered as Apourusheya? That fundamental reason must be understood. The reason for calling Vedas as Apourusheya, without getting deeper into the Shastric perspective about it, just to give a glimpse of what the Shastras ascribe to, they subscribe to, the idea is that Pourusheya means Purusha Nirvartitam. It means that created by a man, written by a person. That is called as Pourusheya. Apourusheya means which is not written by anybody. It's not like it is not told or said by a person. So because we do have the Veda mantras and we do chant, we do teach, and it gets passed on from and from generation to generation through oral tradition. And how come it is Apourusheya? Apourusheya means it is not created, it is not written by anybody. It is not composed, it is not written, it is experienced. It is something that has always been there. uh, I don't know if this example still works on this generation, because if you have ever heard any sports commentary over radio transistor, there used to be something called as radio transistors long ago. I have to say like that nowadays. uh, it was fun listening to commentaries or songs or whatever it is through radio transistors. And you but well, when you study physics, you do understand how radio waves function, isn't it? So basically, what does a transistor do? It is basically a receiver. So what does it receive? It receives the signals, right? So the signals are invisible to the naked eye. It can only be received by this particular device when it gets tuned to that frequency, right? That is the idea of Vedas as well. So when we say Shruti, when we say the mantras, they are always been there. They are in the form of sound, they are in the form of nada, as well as in the form of shabda. So this nada and shabda, maya brahma, that is nothing but the Vedas, they have always existed. How come I am not able to listen? If it is there, how come I am not able to listen to it? Because I have not fine-tuned myself. So when I tune myself, I will be able to receive it. So I am the receiver. And just because I receive and I play doesn't make me the owner of it. If the radio plays a song, the radio is not the owner of the song, isn't it? The radio is merely playing the song. It's like Spotify. It's a streaming platform. The song belongs to the author, and the song belongs to the one who has sung it. Or even if you go and ask the song lyricist, a true lyricist would say that the words does not belong to me, the words just come to me. Okay. If you go and ask a musician, a proper musician will answer that the tunes, the sarigama padanisa, they just come to me. So it means that we are nothing but a receiver. Something beyond us is functioning through us, and we are merely the receivers. And not just receivers, we are receivers as well as amplifiers. So the fact that we possess the quality to receive and amplify doesn't make us the owner or doesn't make us the creator. We still are only receivers and amplifiers. And with this spirit, when you understand that Vedas are Apourusheya, it means that the one who received it and one who amplified it is not the author of that mantra. He is just the one who had the vision of that mantra, he who experienced that mantra, and he who transmitted that mantra after having received it. That's the reason why it is called as Apourusheya. It is not created by me. I cannot add my tadka to it. I cannot add my own perspective to it. Where is my signature? The nation wants to know, and unless you say the nation wants to know, you won't become a famous journalist. It's not like you have come up with a signature line. It's not like you have a signature name that you have to inevitably use in every line. The Rishis are not like that. The Rishis are merely receivers and amplifiers, and they cannot be attributed with the authorship of it. Hence, it is called as Apourusheya. I hope this example makes it more convenient to understand why Vedas are Apourusheya.
This whole discussion around the Vedas and the beautiful analogies that you're offering is really getting into my head. I mean, I'm understanding it very well. Again, a question which many of my friends might ask. So nowadays, this whole world is more of a capitalistic mindset. So how do you explain Vedas into this mindset? That is, how do you say what is the USP of the Vedas?
Yeah, that is quite a question. What is the USP of Vedas? Yeah, the ability to turn a person towards himself. That is the USP of Vedas. I'm not going to beat around the bush because you know that it is already accessible in Google and many other things. That it has got science and technology in it. So what? You remember Bhagavad Pada's stotra, Shadangadi Vedo, Mukhe Shastra Vidya, all those things, and he merely asked that question, Tatah Kim?
Tatah kim.
Tatah Kim, Tatah Kim, Tatah Kim, Tatah Kim. The corresponding thing that he had asked previously is, Guro Rangri Padme, Manasche Nalagnam, Tatah Kim. So the same thing, if we are not going to get to the essence of Vedas, then whether it talks about medicine, whether it talks about science, technology, building a plane, how to take the cavalry, it really doesn't matter. So its essence is its USP at all times. Because if you are going to attach something else as a particular thing's USP and not its essence as its USP, that venture is going to fail miserably one or the other day. आप लिख के ले लीजिएगा. It is never going to survive. No business will survive if its essence itself is not its USP. So the essence of Vedas is that it has the ability to draw someone towards themselves, to make that that antaranga, to turn people towards themselves, to enable or to highlight the importance, the essence, the earnestness of Atma Gnana. That is the essence of Vedas, and that is its USP.
Very intriguing, as you said, and that is what has the potential to draw Gen Z towards the Vedas. And coming to the final question about the final aim of the Vedas.
See, when we say about the final aim of the Vedas, there are two words that go hand in hand. They're like joint words: aim and scope. So the aim of the Veda is always going to be at the core of it. The scope is how long can it stretch with that aim. That's how aim and scope work. It's like there is a huge boulder, or there is a huge stick or a pillar, and that pillar is the aim. And to that pillar is tied a cattle, or cow is tied to that. So the cow goes to a certain distance, and that becomes the scope of that cow.
Okay.
So likewise, the aim of Vedas is discussed in the Upanishads. Upanishad is the ultimate part of the Vedas. It is, for a reason, it is called as a Vedanta. Anta, in the sense, not it comes at the end part of it, not just that, but it also means that this is the decision, this is the conclusion of Vedas. So the conclusive part of Vedas is the Upanishads, and the Upanishads talk about Brahma. Upanishads talk about the Atma Gnanam or Atma Vidya, and that is what Vedas is all about. And that is the aim of Veda. And the Aharaha Sandhyam Upasita and many other words, everything that has been told in the Vedas, they are merely the scope of the Vedas. And the scope is determined only by the aim of the Veda. The aim of the Veda is Atma Darshanam, Atma Gnanam, because Vida Gnane is the dhatu. Gnana means Atma Gnanam. It has been wrongly translated that Gnana means knowledge. Gnana means always Atma Gnanam. Because any other Gnana is secondary. And when you say the word Gnana, you always want to subscribe yourself to the primary meaning. The primary meaning of the word Veda is Atma Gnana. Secondary meaning can be many other things. So the primary meaning, which is Atma Gnanam, that is the aim of Veda, and everything else becomes the scope of Vedas.
So listening to all of this, it gives me a sense of longing to now delve into the beginning of the Vedas. So at least by this lifetime I can reach somewhere around the Vedanta, and this also leaves an open string, which brings me into the conclusion of this podcast, which means that this is not even a droplet in the whole ocean of Gnana, as you said. So by this, I thank you profusely, Mahodaya, for helping me and my contemporaries with such beautiful yet understanding examples, and also through my doubts, which were like clouds in the sky of my mind, it has now rained down. So
Thank you.
by the blessings of the Ubhaya Jagat Gurus and Sri Sharadamba and Sri Shankara Bhagavat Pada, and thanks to Aham Brahmasmi for bringing us together for this podcast. Dhanyavada, Mahodaya.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.